Hello folks and goodbye to 2024. My goodness, what a year it has been. And if you scroll through this channel, you will see that I have played hundreds of mobile games in the last 12 months. There are certain titles that come along that make me question whether it is time to delete it. And so this is an unscripted video about the mobile games that I still play, even though I'm not contracted to. There are 3 and a very special honorable mention as well. So first off, I want to talk about Stone Age Digital Edition. It is a board game that has been turned into a digital version that came out on mobile devices. Now, I love playing board games, but I don't want to do the pity party right here. I don't have a lot of friends in real life, so I don't get to play board games that often. I did get a job in a board game cafe just down the road from me, but I ended up quitting because it wasn't a very good job. But even then, getting to actually be exposed to board games, it was a great thing to do. And of course, people enjoy playing board games, and there's been a resurgence in board game love over the last few years. So when I had the chance to play Stone Age Digital Edition, I was a little bit wary and a little bit skeptical because I've played board games that have transferred to mobile titles in the past, and I found it a little bit because the best way to learn a board game is to have someone explain to you how to play the board game. When you're having to read reams and reams of text, it can be a little bit difficult. The onboarding can be a little bit too much. But with Stone Age Digital Edition, I found when I started playing it in order to make a video on it that, yeah, it was a little bit difficult to get my head around everything. But once I got through the tutorial and I played around myself, bam, I was there, I was in it, and you realize how simple it is and yet how difficult it is to actually master. So if you aren't familiar with the Stone Age game, basically, I'm sure you can guess from the title, it's set in the Stone Age. You have a group of hunter-gatherers and you need to hunt and gather resources in order to basically be the best tribe out of the other tribes. It's a turn-based game, and each game you've basically got like a river, you've got a quarry, hunting grounds, you can make more of your population, you can build huts, you have dice to roll each round, you can collect artifacts. It sounds like a lot. I'm not here to give you a lesson on how to play it. Honestly, jump in and give it a go yourself. But once you get your head around that, it becomes such an engaging game. And what I found was fantastic about it was the fact that it doesn't look like it's a board game. When I've played other board games on digital devices, it just basically seems like, oh, they've taken a picture of the cardboard playing space and just put it there with a couple of animations. What I found with Stone Age Digital Edition is that it looks like a very nicely laid out turn-based strategy game rather than just a board game, here you go. With Stone Age, it makes it seem like it's a video game, a turn-based strategy video game, which I think is fantastic and a real accomplishment for the developers to have actually made that transfer. And the art style of the actual game is really lovely as well, this sort of painted aesthetic, and there's only minimal animation. The way that you zoom into different points when it's actually your turn to play, going to the river, going to the quarry, it just adds a different landscape. And at the end of the day, when you're collecting your resources and you're tallying up the points, to just have these little different vistas, it adds another level to it, which I find is really nice. And it's not overpowering. It's not, oh, okay, because sometimes other games, they throw in so much animation and pomp and pageantry when it's like, okay, cool, I just kind of want to get to the next round. It just makes things simple so you get to really focus on your strategy and you really get to focus on how to win. And it can be a really difficult game to play and win. The way that I play it is that I try and build up my community as big as I can and make sure they get fed. So constantly putting them in the field, constantly hunting and gathering, because when they don't have enough food, you start losing points. So make sure they're well fed and well stocked, and then try to start getting all the resources. So I like to play a long game in a game that could only be short. So sometimes I fall short on that. But yes, if you are looking for a digital board game that you want to play yourself, or you can play multiplayer with other people who have that game as well from, you know, it's great. You don't have to have everybody around. You can just play that. I would highly recommend Stone Age Digital Edition. Check out the video. I'll make sure the link is in here as well. When I covered it the first time I played it through. But yeah, highly recommended. Board game, Stone Age Digital Edition. Give it a go. Now this one is a relatively recent release, but I have been playing it a lot and I know I will continue to play it more in the future, and that is Pokémon, the trading card game, Pocket. Now, I could give you a tour of my apartment, but I won't. But what I will tell you is that there is Pokemon memorabilia basically everywhere. Now, when I knew there was going to be a digital edition of the trading card game, I thought, oh, will it be like the Pokemon trading card game on the Game Boy Color? Because I was obsessed with that game. I absolutely loved it. I've completed it like 5 times in my life. I utterly adore that game. Unfortunately not. It's not an adventure game. It's basically more of a collecting game, this new edition is. And knowing that you were going to be collecting digital versions of the cards didn't really appeal to me when I first heard about it. I will be honest with you, because I thought, well, you don't get to collect them. You don't get to keep them. So the fact that you can't have the cards in your hands, like, well, what's the point? I'd rather just have my cards, because I do enjoy collecting my Pokemon trading cards. This is my original binder right here. This will be the heirloom for my future children. This is the complete base set, all 102 of them, all of them in great condition. That's every single one of them there. And then I go on to Jungle, and I go on to Fossil, Rocket as well. And then I just go through. I love collecting them. And so getting the chance to collect on your phone, it kind of seems like, oh, okay, what's the point? And as I started playing it, I was like, yeah, this is a very well-designed app. It's not haphazardly put together. There's been a lot of time and thought into this. It's a very aesthetically pleasing app. It's a very nice to control and nice to navigate UI as well. There's something about it which is really clean and crisp. It's got that sort of minimalist aesthetic to it. So when you do have the beautiful colors of the cards and of the Pokemon, it really makes them stand out a lot more. So when you get to open a pack, you only get to open them for free once every 12 hours. So 2 packs in a day. There's only like 5 in a pack, but there's a real joy to it. You do get that dopamine hit, that thrill of getting to open a pack and seeing what comes out. And I find myself going, oh my gosh, I've got myself a Mankey. Great, that's another one added to the collection. And as I've been adding to the collections, it's been great. Genetic Apex, I've got 100 odd for that, but the new Mew one has just come out and I've managed to fill half of it already. And it fills me with so much joy that, yeah, this is great, because over the years, I've wanted to get back into buying actual physical cards, so I have them. But when I've gone to the shops, it's like 30 odd quid for a deck. I'm like, I need to buy food. So you get that thrill, you get that hit from the Pocket game, and it's wonderful in that aspect. And what I really like about it is the fact that it's optional to battle with them. Having the energies automatically given you, like there you go, you get an energy each round. Go for it, champ. So you can balance it out with trainer cards and actual Pokemon. There's something really simplistic and stripped back about the battling experience on the trading card game Pocket, which is really pleasant. I think it's a really good jump off for those who have never battled before. Maybe you've only just collected, or those who've wanted to battle but don't have anyone to battle with, because that's the thing, like, it's not a board game where you can just invite someone around and teach them the rules. You've got to find someone who has their own deck, who knows the game intricately, and then be able to play with them. So actually gain someone to play with, playing online with that, it's just wonderful. And as I say, collecting the cards, you get that little bit of thrill, little bit of hit. And I'm looking forward to see the trade feature in the future. It's not out as of yet, but I think when you get the trading feature, that's just going to open up things lovely, because those little missing gaps in your card collection, be able to fill them in, fantastic. So yes, give it a download if you are a fan of Pokemon, as I am, because it does kind of fulfill something, and it's been extremely successful over the last few weeks, and you can kind of see why. And the new decks that are coming out, I mean, this new deck that came out, I was like, yeah, I'm jumping into that. I'm going to be playing that. Give it a go if you haven't before. So this is the special mention that I wanted to give. Way back on the channel, I covered a game which I didn't quite get when I first played it, but then really sunk its claws into me, and that is Fake Future. When I first downloaded it, you can go back and watch the video, I didn't quite understand what it was meant to be. It was kind of like a city builder, but a resource manager, but a upgrading system for the characters. And it was kind of a little bit tricky, and the world and the lore of it, I didn't quite understand. I was like, so humanity's been wiped out. They've been replaced by these robots, but each of the robots have their own personality. And it's just this one person in space, the last human in a space station, who's sort of controlling it all. But there's a question whether she's a robot. And then they're talking about all these things about the apocalypse and the change and whatever, and it's a lot to get your head around. The onboarding was kind of crazy with the lore and everything. It was like, right, don't know what's going on here, but it looked fantastic, it sounded fantastic, it had this sort of pixelated art style to it and this 80s synth pop type of background music to it. And I found myself playing it, making the video, and then going, I'm just gonna carry on for a little bit. I'm just gonna explore this world a little bit more. And I did. And I explored it more and more. And I kept playing it. And it was this is what I found amazing about it. It was a free-to-play game. There were monetized incentives within it. So you could purchase in-game currencies, you could upgrade and all this type of stuff. But I have never played a free-to-play game that felt so premium. At no point was I told, hey, you can only continue if you part with some money. You can only carry on if you purchase this pack. No, I just kept playing. And I kept thinking, there was a little bit of anxiety in my chest going, I'm just waiting for the fun to end any moment. It goes, oh, thanks, but you've run out of energy or you've done out of it. No, you could just keep playing. And I did keep playing, and it became a nightly routine that I would go to bed and then I'd play it for an hour. I would get all the resources, I would upgrade, I would buy the new parts for the settlement, I would go out on the quests, I would collect the resources, upgrade, go out on the little trucks and everything to the other things. And there were so many different mini games, so many different adventures. It was so well formulated, this world was, and each of the characters had their own backstory and their relationships and histories, and the lore as you learned about it was so fascinating. It was incredible. I played it so much that I had to delete it because I was like, I can't just keep spending so much time within this game, within this world. So I had to abandon it. But I always knew I wanted to talk about it on this channel and bring it up and make a video about it, talking about how fantastic it is. And so when I knew I was going to make this video, I was like, yeah, Fake Future has to be in there. And as I came back to download it, I found out that it's been discontinued. Earlier this year, there was a notice from the developers who said they've come to the hard decision of having to close down the game. And I cannot tell you how sad that makes me, because I genuinely feel that everyone should have played this game. If you were a fan of city builders, fan of deep stories, and this is the thing, it wasn't a game, like as I explained it sounds like such a heavy game to be in, but it was also such an easy pick up and play. That's what was so fantastic about this game. It wasn't one of those games where you could only play it for a minute at a time because then you've run out of things to do or you need to wait for things to recharge. It was also not a game that you had to spend hours in order to get anything out of. You could spend as much or as little time in the game as you wanted because the lore, the depth of things to do, there's so much stuff, and the fact that it was aesthetically gorgeous, the animations of the characters, the fight sequences, it was utterly incredible. And the only footage I can show is of the stuff that I recorded way back when, because I hadn't recorded anymore. And I wanted to show you all of the amazing things, the different worlds you could go to, the different places you could go to, the multitude of things that you could do. But unfortunately, it's closed down, and I'm so gutted that it has. So for the developers of Fake Future, I hope there's a reality where it does come back in some shape or form. Maybe as a premium game. Hey, bring it out for a couple of quid on the price tag and I'll download it, because I absolutely adored it, and I genuinely think it's one of those games that everyone should have played. It was so refreshing to have jumped into such a vibrant, fully thought out world full of mystery that makes you keep going like, yeah, I want to find out more about this. Anyway, that's the honorable mention. What a shame that there's no future for Fake Future. It's in the past. Let's just move on to the last one. And so the final game that I'll talk about right now is the game that has really just grabbed me, and I knew it would. And a lot of you are going to groan at this when I say this, but it is Bethesda's The Elder Scrolls Castles. Now, what you need to know about me is that I am a huge Fallout fan. I utterly adore the series. Fallout 3, Vegas, 4. I was getting into 76, but kind of dropped off it. But yes, those three definitely. In fact, if you go back and have seen my face in other videos on this channel, you'll realize that I used to have a poster up there. It wasn't even a poster. It was all of the collection of exclusive collector's editions Fallout New Vegas playing cards. I've now changed the background a little bit now just to make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. But yes, I've got a little shrine down here dedicated to all my Fallout stuff. I even went to Washington, D.C. when I was 19 years old because I had spent 2,500 hours playing Fallout 3 when I was 18. And I went to D.C. and I knew my way around because of how much I had played Fallout, and I was that obsessed with it I knew which metro to get on in order to get to the baseball stadium. Anyway, I love that series. And so if you are a fan of Fallout, you will know that there is a Fallout game on mobile, which is Fallout Shelter. And of course, I was obsessed with that as well. And I have completed it like 10 times. There's a point when you've built all of the rooms, you've got the maximum amount of dwellers, and you level up all of their specials, and you're just like, well, there's nothing else for me to do. So you reset, you restart, and you go through it again. And I adored Fallout Shelter. So knowing that was going to be another game on the horizon, which a lot of people thought was just going to be a reskin of Fallout Shelter, but within the Elder Scrolls universe, yeah, it got a lot of people thinking. Now, personally, I don't really know the Elder Scrolls that much. I've played a little bit of Skyrim, and yeah, I enjoyed it, but it didn't hook me the way that Fallout did. So going into castles, I was like, oh, okay, let's give this a go. And on the surface, it does play rather similarly to Fallout Shelter. You are building your castle, you are building your shelter, you are collecting your villagers, your castle inhabitants, your dwellers. They can level up, you can give them different outfits and different weapons in order to make them stronger. You can make sure they train in different areas, and you're collecting resources in order to put back into the pool to then upgrade further, and you keep on growing, yada, yada, yada. But it's a lot more of a slow down pace compared to Fallout Shelter. The aesthetics of the actual art style is beautiful. The way that the rooms are laid out and the way you can decorate things, it kind of makes it more of a cozy game rather than a management sim, which was a huge departure from Fallout Shelter as it is. And there was a mechanic in the game that I didn't like when I first played it, but having played it basically every day for the last couple of months, I now love it, and that is the time progression. People grow old, people eventually die. And that sort of, mortality, that impending, gosh, because when you play Skyrim, when you play any of these games, there isn't that. There isn't a natural cycle of life when you're playing an RPG like that. So knowing that you've got someone sitting on the throne, or you've got your oil workshop decked out with the best hands, knowing that every day you play and you see, hey, you've got another year, here are some rewards. Oh, well done, you've got a Jubilee monument, yay. That people are getting older, and you see it. They age, they're young, and then you see them grow a little bit older, and then they become elders. They can't have children anymore, they can't procreate, and then they're gone. One day you open up the game and it says heirloom, take whoever. Look, this is the legacy that they've left. You go, gosh. And because of that, you really have to keep an eye on the management of your castle dwellers, because people don't just turn up to the front door often. The way to bring more people into the castle, so make sure that everybody's filling up the jobs, is to have children. So you put two people together, they have a kid. Great. But they can only start working when they're 16 years old. And they have to age the way that everybody else ages. So you have to wait 16 real life days before one of the kids becomes of age so that you can put them to work. So if you have a whole crew of people and you neglect the actual, they don't need to procreate. Look, I've got such a healthy force right here. Look at all these workers. Oh, in my domain. Yes, get the oil. Yes, make the steel swords. Yes, plate me in the finest armor. But if you neglect the fact they have kids, they're all going to get old. They're all going to start drawing their pensions, and eventually, bam, one cold snap, they're all gone. You're left with no one. The castle falls into ruins, basically, so you have to keep on it. And what I found is, because these people age, because there are these characters, because you can marry them off and you can see the family tree between them by clicking on going, oh, this was their lover, this was their parents, these were their siblings, this was their kid. You start to grow an affinity to them, and you start to see them grow older and go, oh, no. No, I don't want them to go. Why do they have to go? You grow attached to these characters. And the thing is, it's not every time you log in, it's every day. Every day time progresses. So if you leave it for, oh, I haven't played it for like a few days, let's log in, you'll find a lot of people have died. Yeah, a lot of people grown up, but you have to keep on it. Anyway, age progression, that's one thing. The quest lines, the actual combat can be a little bit, it's not fully fleshed out. I will say that there's this whole sort of paper, rock, scissors mechanic to things about the bows are good against this thing and the maces are good against that and the axes are good against them but weak against them. I don't really understand all of that. I don't know. There's no help thing on the screen to like click it and go, oh, okay, that's what I should do. I just give them the strongest weapons and let them go for it, basically, and that kind of works most of the time. What I found is like making your castle and decorating it and having these connections with all of these different NPCs and seeing them grow and pruning them, and you really get to be like, these people, they are in my dominion. I feel really connected to them, and that is such a huge step up to Fallout Shelter. But in Elder Scrolls Castles on the mobile, you really grow such a connection to them. You want them to do well. You see the loves that they have. You see when someone's been widowed, you make them have a chance of happiness with someone else. When you're matchmaking people to be like, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to put you with you. I think you'd be a wonderful couple. It's just such a much fuller experience than I realized. And I'm really glad I put the time into it. And I'll be glad to put more time into it. And I'll be excited to see what other features are added. I really hope there are some extra things to help elevate it. But at the moment, I am enjoying just going through and seeing all of this play out. And yeah, if you haven't played Bethesda's The Elder Scrolls Castles on the mobile, I would definitely say give it a go. And I would definitely say give it a go and jump in every few days. If you don't want to play it every day, that's fine, but really just give it a nice amount of time, because it is the time progression that really adds some magic to the game. So 2024 is nearly over, maybe jump into 2025 with that one. Folks, I went on for so much longer than I thought I would right there. Thank you so much for watching and listening, if you did watch and listen. And there we go. That is 2024 to an end. Have you played any of those 4 games that I've mentioned? Did you also play Fake Future? And what do you think about it coming to an end? Because I wish I had played it more earlier this year so that I saw the notice to say that it was coming to an end, because I would have just poured so much time into it. I kind of regret seeing that go now. Anyway, let's leave all regrets on the doorstep for 2024. Jump into 2025 with a new year, new games to play, new experiences to have. Let me know down below which games you'll be playing, which games you're excited to play. And you know what, folks? I just gotta say, thank you so much for being here. I have been making videos here for the last 2 years now on this channel, and I'm so grateful for you to be here and watching and playing along and all the comments and everything. So make sure to stick around for more. If you've only watched this for the first time, you want to stick around for more as well, subscribe as well, give it a like, and I'm gonna go. This was the end of this unscripted. It won't ever be this unscripted again, unless I do this next year as well. But yes, my friends, thank you so much for watching. Luck and more to you all, and catch you next year.